Okay, hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today at the RG podcast. Thank you so much for your patience as I've been dealing with some technical issues, but we got a very special guest today. And I just got to say, I'm a really big fan of yours. Yeah. Loved you in the parliament, if you know what I'm saying. George Clinton.
Right?
And I guess I don't need to ask you where you're calling out of, but because it looks like you're calling out of Texas, but can you tell me whereabouts you're calling out of?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Puerto Rican flag, but I'm from Texas. I'm sorry. it's similar, but I'm from,
Really?
from Texas. Yeah, from
Oh, wow.
Texas.
Okay. All right. All right. And yeah, so what part of Texas, though?
Northeast Texas. So I'm like 70 miles north of Dallas, Northeast Texas. But now I just moved. We moved like a week
Yeah.
ago. So I'm Northeast Texas, but we're like 15 miles from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. We'll get to talk a little bit about this because with Bakersfield, we have very special history with Texas and Oklahoma in a bit. But we just start off. So I'm just going to ask you some random questions and answer them as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
All right.
of course. I'm an open book. I'm an open book.
So here we go. First of all, what's your who's your favorite top three boxers?
I'm sorry, say that again. It broke up a bit. Say that again.
Top three boxers of all time.
Favorite boxers of all time?
Boxer.
Boxers like fighting boxers? Roy Jones Jr. is my favorite. I mean, Mike Tyson. I grew up watching Mike Tyson, but Roy Jones Jr. is my favorite boxer of all time. Roy Jones Jr. Because I watched that guy take out a guy with a liver shot. No, Roy Jones Jr. is my favorite boxer.
All right. I really like Leonard. He was my favorite.
Oh, yeah, Sugar Ray was great. I remember like when I was a kid, my family and my dad would go watch him for pay-per-views, and just how smooth he was. Sugar Ray was great, but my favorite boxer of all time is Roy Jones Jr.
All right. Okay, here we go. Favorite music genre. Hope you're gonna say country.
Wait, say it again. I'm sorry, it broke up.
Music genre.
My favorite music genre. That's hard because I can go from Backdoor Man to Back That Ass Up. So, from blues to rap. So I can go from Backdoor Man to Back That Ass Up. So
you stole that line, hustle. You got that from Hustle. That was a great video.
Yeah, it was good. It was,
DJ Paul said that line in there.
For real.
But okay, here we
Backdoor
go.
Man to Back That Ass Up.
Yeah, here we go. So there you go. So if you were going to get killed by a fictional horror character, who's...
Hey, do me a favor, repeat that because I didn't hear the whole question.
Yeah, if you were going to go down at the hands of any fictional character, who would you want to die here?
Oh.
Jason, this is an important question.
So if I was going to be killed by a fictional character, who would take me out?
Yeah, who would you want to die?
Optimus Prime. Because I'd be like
question, man.
I'd be like Starscream. Be like, retreat! And I'm done. Or Cobra Commander.
Okay. Yeah, if you haven't really... Okay, anyway. Moving forward, I do want to ask you, how long have you lived in Texas? Because you're originally from California?
Yeah, I've been in Texas for 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years this September. reason I moved here is because when I was in California, I worked at AT&T. I would come out to Dallas for training and different things. I love the area. I love the people. I'm like, you know what? Let's go. And so we did.
Were you nervous at all going down? Like, tell me bad things about Texas.
I was never nervous about moving to Texas. Every time I came to Texas, before I moved here, I came out here like 2 or 3 times. I was never nervous. The people were fantastic. Texas is in the South. I got all the Southern hospitality I've never experienced in California, so I was never nervous about moving to Texas.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I hope you got it. Beaches and drink some tea on the porch. You get to do any of that? Oh wait, am I mixing up? Is no? That's a Georgia thing. I'm joking.
No, they love their sweet tea in Texas.
So
I'm still
all right. So then let's. I see. Yeah. So let's get right into these questions. What is the difference between California and Texas that you've seen?
Okay, so the difference between California and Texas is that people in Texas, when they see you, you're walking down the street, you're in the grocery store, you make eye contact, they'll nod, they'll say hello, how you doing? California, especially Bakersfield, you get me mugged. You know what that means? You get me mugged. They'll be just like, and they keep it going. Texas, they'll nod. Even if they don't like you, they'll nod and they'll say hello. And it's Southern.
Well, what do they say? There's 2 of you.
If there's 2 of
you, you're with someone, like you're with your wife. Yeah. What is?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You know.
How y'all doing? Right? How y'all?
Yeah. Say it again.
They say y'all, like how y'all doing? My cousin moved to Georgia, and it was like really his first time out of California. And he called me up one day, and he was really excited. He's like, yeah, I love it here. He's like, Isaiah, they say y'all. Like, that is pretty funny.
You got to think though. I'm from Bakersfield. If you got to think about it,
but I know
everyone from Bakersfield. You know, the Bakersfield transplants came from Oklahoma and Texas back in the Dust Bowl. So that's how we got y'all. Texas. That's how we got y'all, right? And my parents, my mom is from Arkansas. My dad is from Alabama, from Pennsylvania. They say y'all. So it's how y'all doing. And it's like,
so you got it.
Yeah. So, but it's a little bit different because
you got it in your.
Yeah. I grew up with that. I grew up with y'all.
Okay. All right. No, I do. My ex-girlfriend lived in Texas, and I went down there, and I remember to like a restaurant, and I was looking at the menu, and then the waitress came up, like, "What y'all want to get?" And I was like, it just caught me off guard. Like,
you were thinking, what?
I mean, it was cool. It was just one of those things. Like, whoa.
You were thinking, you want her to say, "You guys, what you guys want to get?" Y'all, right? What you guys want to get? You guys equals y'all. Right?
Well, it was. It was great. I loved that it was new, but it just like I literally never heard that in person before. So anyway, listen to this. School in Missouri. So I like above Texas, and I got that trip actually coming down driving. But one of the things that was a big is, man, I'll tell you this. I used to hitchhike like in Missouri. So you get out there to hitchhike, man. Within 10 minutes, you put your thumbs up. Some like some trucker, some like farmer, and like truck come up, and like no issue whatsoever. You could literally be out for like 5 or 6 hours in California and no one pick you up, you know. So there's like I never once had an issue where I couldn't get picked up hitchhiking, just because where my college was, it was just in a little bit of a weird situation. So you couldn't, like, you had to take a taxi. So if you didn't want to pay like the money to do that, you could just hitchhike up there, and it's like no problem whatsoever. So I guess people are just nicer, maybe we say.
Yeah, people are definitely
Right.
nicer. Where I live in Texas, we don't see many homeless people. I see very few hitchhikers. I've only picked up a hitchhiker one time. That was in California. My friend Jeff. We were on our way back from Bakersfield to Ridgecrest. There was a guy on the side of the road, like going on the 58. We picked him up and dropped him off somewhere in Mojave. Only time I ever picked up a hitchhiker, but I don't see him. I don't see him here in this part of Texas.
Like personally, I always keep like some canned goods or whatever in my like some socks in my trunk. So whenever I would see the hitchhikers, I wonder some hitchhikers. And man, I hitchhiked in like 5 or 6 hours. Every time I was out there. One time I had to wait for like an hour, but every other time I just put in my thumb, just boom, someone pick you up. You know what I mean? Have a nice conversation with them. Really nice people. I went from Belgium to Germany just almost straight.
Wow.
Most of the time it's out there for like 10, 20 minutes. So that's really nice.
Well,
okay. Here. Yeah, it's super cool. I wish people were a little bit more trusting and because that was just a really nice sign that they're willing to trust you in Missouri. So anyway, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions people have of Texas?
That everybody sounds like they're from Hee Haw. I mean, I grew up watching Hee Haw and Bakersfield, but everyone thinks everyone from Texas is Hee Haw, or they like sound like Hank Hill, like Bobby, clean burning propane, Bobby, or they sound like Broomhauer. Was his house Broomhauer sound? Let me do my Broomhauer voice. Man, where you gonna go down there and go with that propane, get some beer, and we're saying they don't sound like that because a lot of people from Texas right now, are transplants from California, so you don't get that. You don't get that. There's no twang. I mean, I get the twang sometimes because of my job, but I adapt to the people I'm talking to. But yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions in my opinion.
You think that like everyone's just walking around with the hat and $6 hat, $6 hat, and guns on their hips, spurs and stuff. Yeah, that it's kind of an outdated misconception. People, you definitely have those people there. I'm not going to say those people don't exist, but they're like they're not exactly average person. You know what I mean?
Right. So I live in Northeast Texas. So Northeast Texas is really diverse. You got Black folks. We're just north of Dallas. You got Indians. You got people from Africa. You got Pakistani people. It's really diverse. But then again, if I go to Walmart, if I see a guy on a motorcycle, I saw a guy. I've only seen a few people open carry in Texas. A guy on a motorcycle at Walmart. He had a pistol on his hip. And then a few other people like randomly, but it's different in Northeast Texas. Northeast Texas is a microcosm of Texas. It's not like the Texas people think that it is not. Is not the Texas that's portrayed in the media.
Yeah, and then you have pockets because you probably can't find a more liberal city in America in Austin, Texas. That place is like a Hubbard for liberalism. Like, and I'm telling you, you go to California, the most liberal cities in California don't even come close to Austin. I mean, I'll just give you an idea. Austin is like the epicenter of atheism for people who do like blogging and stuff. And then the LGBT plus community is really big in there, and then also in Dallas as well. There's a lot of gay the LGBT
Yeah,
So
I'm just north of
it's not
Dallas.
like
So exactly.
people just think it was walking around like 6 shooters and you know what I mean, like horses or whatever, rustling cattle, and it's just it's really like that. But okay, let's see. Here's a interesting question. Is everything bigger in Texas?
The chicken fried steak is absolutely the chicken fried steak.
The chicken
Absolutely.
fried steak.
The sky. I mean, the sky. I mean, growing up in California and growing up in the Central Valley, you don't get to see the blue sky every day. I get to see the blue sky every day. Just the blue sky from as far as I can see. You know, even if there's clouds, it's still the blue sky as far as I can see. So when they say everything's bigger in Texas, my thing is the sky and the chicken fried steak,
Yeah.
of course, but the
Um,
sky, but the sky.
chicken fried steak. I'll tell you what was really nice about the wildflowers. That was the things that really caught me off guard. Is you're on the highways and you see the wildflowers everywhere, and then I guess there's a lot of flat land there as well. So as you're talking about seeing the yeah, and it's a really big state. I don't think people realize how big it's like, and it's just a really odd shape too. I mean, most states are like not impacted, and Texas all the weird uh, borders and stuff. So it's definitely unique. I mean, you know, they call it the Lone Star State, and I never knew what that meant until I went and visited my girlfriend there.
Lone Star,
Texas is the only state that's ever been its own country, right?
right?
So do you pride in being from Texas?
I'm sorry. Repeat that last question.
Do a lot of people?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'm getting some feedback.
Yeah. Do people take pride? Are they prideful for being?
You know what? Texans are they are prideful about the state. It's like where I live in Texas, like in Northeast Texas, we have a lot of transplants from other states, especially California.
Mm-hmm.
And they always say, "Don't California
Mm-hmm.
or Texas." But when you get here, they are, especially in Northeast Texas, they will welcome you with open arms. You will meet the nicest people you ever want to meet. It's Southern hospitality, and that was the thing. That's what keeps me here, and that's one of the reasons I'll probably never ever move back to California. Yeah, I love it here.
No, I definitely get something because I am from California myself. We're actually from,
Mm-hmm.
I live in South Korea, but there are some things that like being honest are like really bad about California. Like one example is like try to imagine what this looks like on my end. You know what I mean? Because I come here, I'm living in Asia, I go visit China, and they're throwing up like bullet trains all across the country, right? I mean, they
Right.
want them there, they just throw them. It just boom, 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 boom. California, on the other hand, they're trying to build like a couple 100-mile fast bullet train, and it's taken them like 10 years, and the price has gone up like 10 times what it was supposed to be. So it's like there's a lot of incompetence, and there's a lot of just like redlining and red tape that people need to go through that kind of makes life in some areas just a lot harder, than other places where there isn't, you know what I mean? There isn't the kind of same kind of bureaucracy and stuff that really has held California back. What
But
do you
if you
think
think
about that?
about it, if you think about the train, not the bullet train, but in the Old West, the towns that the trains bypassed became ghost towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the problem is that they want the bullet train to go into every stop, every town in California. They can't afford that. Think about it. It's Old West. The towns that the original steam trains didn't go to, they became ghost towns. If the train didn't go through your town back then, your town died.
Oh, right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's
Oh,
kind of the
interesting.
same
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but I think it's kind of it's a money thing. So who do you bypass? Do you bypass? I mean, you're not going to bypass Los Angeles. You're not going to bypass.
Yeah, you got to go there.
You got to go to LA. You got to go to San Francisco. You go to San Diego, Fresno. Bakersfield will get a spot, but everything in between will be bypassed by that bullet train. So the economics of it doesn't make sense for California, and unless they
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. And that means if the bullet train bypasses your town, you have to move, right? So the
I
money
don't know
is
about moving, but it's definitely. I mean, it will definitely bring a boom there to
right,
whatever.
right,
That's for sure.
exactly.
That's for sure.
So let's say
Um,
let's say like for example, I mean, what's a small town in California? I know these small towns, but we're Central Valley. So let's say the bullet train bypasses Early Mart, which is that town will die, right? So that's what I think. But with Japan and China being, I'm sorry, no, not China, but with Japan being a smaller country, the bullet train can stop at every port, every
mhm.
city to make
So
it
okay,
viable.
okay. No, I think you're on to something. I hadn't really thought about that. Um, but I'll just South Korea as well. We don't exactly have a lot of bullet trains, but we have some really nice trains. And so whenever you ride on them, they're not bumpy. You know what I mean? So it's a really nice, smooth, to the like several hundred miles an hour. Like whenever I was in China, you're riding on this thing, and it doesn't even feel like you're moving. First of all, like they have they have the speed up there, so you can see exactly how fast it's going. We're we're right now at this moment like the fastest train like on the planet, and it shows you the exact number. But I'm serious. It doesn't feel like you're moving. It's like you can't even feel any kind of movement. Whenever you're on a train or something, you can feel some kind of movement. You
Right.
just simply cannot feel it. So I think they use like magnets or something. I mean, it's pretty technologically advanced. So they have it here in South Korea too. It's called the KTX, but it's not exactly it's not stuff. They do have one, but that's the average person doesn't ride that every day. Right. Anyway,
But in those trains too,
transitioning.
they're traveling from spot to spot. There's no overnight, no sleeper cars right on the train. So you're just traveling and commuting, right? They're commuter trains. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, think about it. I don't know. I can only speak about South Korea, but South Korea, there's no like you could zip across the whole country in a fast train in 2.5 hours.
Wow.
It's that small.
Wow.
Yeah, so going to 5 hours in a regular train, or you could take. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it is kind of a bullet train, but it's a little bit in between, like a fast train and just like a bullet train. So it doesn't quite go that fast, but it's still lightning fast, and it doesn't have that many stops on it too. Anyway, have you ever experienced any racism there?
I'm sorry. Repeat that again.
Have you experienced racism there?
Not at all. I've experienced more racism in California in Bakersfield than I have in Texas. I, no one, everyone in Texas and the South has welcomed me with open arms. Bakersfield, yes, I've experienced racism. Texas, I've not experienced any racism since I've been here. It's like, hey, where you from? California? Welcome. If you're a good person
Wow.
here, there's no racism. I've experienced no racism in Texas at all. I've been here almost 3 years. Zero. Zero. But again, I'm in Northeast Texas where it's really diverse. It's really diverse in Northeast Texas. So I've experienced
Right.
zero racism.
Right. But right. Right. But there's this misconception that people in the South are like they're all just racist and they're just racist or just because they're Mexican or whatever. And you might generally see like that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what you would do. the fact that you're black, they're just not going to like you no matter what. You know what I mean? Could be, I was going to say Barack Obama, but I guess they really didn't like him. He's just a CEO or whatever. They're going to treat you the same exact way if you were a gang member. You know, to them, there's no difference. But your average person, like in the Midwest, as you talked about being like a good person. If you behave yourself in a respectful manner, you know, and you present yourself well, like they're going to treat you the way in which you're putting out to the universe. You know, if you come out and you're loud or you have your pants hanging down, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you probably deserve to get treated with some, disdain if you're walking around showing your booty off to people. You know what I mean? Like you're in the pen or something. You know what I'm talking about?
I understand. Absolutely. But you know
And
that may be more so in the inner city of Dallas, which I'm north of Dallas. But even when I went to Dallas, when you go to Dallas in those areas, it's like this area of Texas is I want to say it's a lot like San Francisco, where you got pockets of culture. You know, the thing that me and my wife like to go to, we love the international markets. We find international markets. And it's like I've never experienced that. No matter what, even when I moved, I've never been that guy with my pants hanging down. I'm just who I am. I'm just a person. And being the dread.
You dress though.
But you know what? Everyone in this area, you got more dreads. You got more dreads in this part of Texas than in California. My wife.
Hey, but I don't like the dreads just because I'm jealous of the hair. So I'm biased for a different reason. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I'm losing my hair. I got a dreadlock mullet now. Can you see my dreadlock mullet? Because I lost my hair on the top. It's only in the back. So I'm in the south. It's probably the hat to cover my pure back scalp.
Yeah, you got to get you one of those 5 gallon hats. But hey,
right.
So is your wife is your wife a black or white or Mexican or Latina or Asian?
My wife's white from Bakersfield.
Wow.
All right. She grew up in Oildale.
Right.
She grew up in Oildale.
Okay. All right. My wife's Korean. Myself. But what are you drinking over there?
The rest of my wife's Pinot Grigio. Her Pinot Grigio.
You cleared out. Hey, what kind of alcoholic beverages do you normally like to drink?
Red wine. Yeah, red wine or moonshine.
I'm gonna switch.
If I'm with my Texas friends, it's moonshine. But if I'm at home, no, for real.
Actually, they actually have moonshine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
So, true story. A friend of mine, he had some moonshine. It tastes. Do you remember the orange? The creamsicle? The orange creamsicles. That it was the orange on the outside, had the cream in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Orange creamsicle moonshine.
Cream. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Really?
Yes. Or
I bet
we would get I would get the maraschino cherries. They would mix those with moonshine.
All right.
Fantastic. It's been a minute.
I was gonna say. I was thinking that was just like a Dukes of Hazzard type thing, the moonshine. But I didn't know people still do that. But you know what?
Yes, they do.
You know there's a bit of controversy. There was a bit of controversy with that because of the how do you call it, the Confederate flag that they had on there, and I think this is something that people really get caught up on because they make the assumption that if somebody is wearing that they're racist, and the truth of the matter is that a lot of those people, if you just being a good person talking to them, it's not like an issue that they have with say any group of people specifically. What it is they have some pride about their roots. It's like this. Okay, all I can say this is I've known people who were German, and their ancestors like fought with the Nazis. Okay, so it's not a matter that they like the Nazis that side, but it's just the fact that this is something that, like, hey, my ancestors fought for this. This was something that they laid down their lives for, fighting for this cause. It doesn't mean that they support whatever. Doesn't mean that they think that slavery is okay or anything like that. But it's like it's a pride. It's a pride. It's your ancestry. There's good and bad in all of our ancestries. Nobody. I mean, Black people don't have a. You go back to Africa and you take a look at the things that were going on, like in Africa, and even now, like there's been lots of genocides going down and taking place. People do bad stuff to each other. I mean, that's just a reality of. Doesn't make it right, but it's a harsh reality of the life that we live. And so this is just something that this has to do with their cultural heritage, and it's not like we don't like Black people, right? Would you agree with that?
So my thing on the Confederate flag is they can fly that loser flag all they want. They can fly their loser flag all they want. And, they can have pride in that loser flag. But just you lost. You lost.
Exactly.
You lost. Yeah. You lost. Fly your loser flag. I don't care. Fly your loser flag. Dukes of Hazzard was my favorite show when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Bo and Luke Duke.
Bo and Luke Duke, yeah.
They were running. You know what? Do you realize Dukes of Hazzard? Their whole thing was
running
Bo
moonshine.
And Luke Duke, they're running moonshine. Thank you. Like you said, they're running moonshine for Uncle Jesse. They're running moonshine. That's how. Getting off going on for tangent. That's how NASCAR started.
Really?
Yes, NASCAR started because those guys in the South, they were trying to get the fastest cars they could to run their shine and not get caught.
Really? You're kidding me.
No, for real. That's how NASCAR started. These mother scratchers were running moonshine. So fly your loser flag, run that shine. I would have been like, hey, did you get here? Can I get some shine? That's how NASCAR started, was from people running shine. And that's why the Dukes boys had a fast car. And that's why they were on probation.
Right. So you know what? I saw this good meme that said, like, if you wave the Confederate flag, like wave the right one, and it was a white. It's like, hey, you guys lost, right? It doesn't. In my opinion of that matter, personally, I wouldn't fly that because, like, I might, have some kind of like if my ancestors, let's say, did fight in that, I might have some kind of shrine in my house commemorating their loss, their life. I might have something in my house, but because of the fact that I know some people do only see it as a racism and slavery issue, it's like, try to respect people and understand. Like, personally, this is an example with the whole pronoun things. Like, I don't exactly, as they say, like, preferred pronoun. But hey, if that's what you want to be called, I'm going to call you that. I don't want to say something that's going to, like, trigger you. I mean, I don't want to be the day that you're going to have. So I can take 0.5 seconds to try to accommodate you. Absolutely will, and similar thing with that. I might have my own beliefs. Just because you have the beliefs, you go out and flaunt it in France. You know what I mean? You may be proud of your Southern heritage, but you don't fly around a Confederate flag. That's kind of like even for me, even trying to be charitable and generous and understanding why someone would appreciate and recognize that flag. I would also say, like, that doesn't mean you have to be obnoxious about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. But you know what? It's like we can all disagree and still be friends. That's my thing. We can disagree. I mean,
sure.
I'm like, fly your loser flag. You're great. Fly your loser flag. It's okay. I understand. Fly your loser flag because I know you lost. You have pride in that you lost.
Yeah.
Have pride you lost. Have pride that you lost. If I lost, I'll be like, I took second place. I still have pride in second place, and that's and they can do
yeah.
that.
Most of the time, coming in second place, you get like what do you get, a silver medal, like you're competing with against a bunch of people. But in a war, when you come in second place, like there's no reward for that. You just lose.
Yeah,
You
but
just
they also,
lose.
I guess
You know what
that flag is their participation trophy that they used to give the kids. Oh, you didn't win, but here's a flag. So
You get a ribbon. No, you get a ribbon. You get a ribbon. I had a lot of those
a
ribbons
ribbon.
in my.
Me too.
Yeah, like the fourth, fifth, sixth people, they got ribbons. Okay, so transitioning real quick. I was wondering if you could tell me if you have any beliefs on God. Do you have any religion that you follow or any beliefs?
Damn. Okay. That's a tough one for me right now. Okay, give me a second to collect my thoughts.
Sure.
I mean,
maybe that Chardonnay is going to your mind, man. Maybe you need to put down that glass.
No, it's Pinot Grigio. It's Pinot Grigio. Not sure. I don't like Chardonnay. It's too buttery. Okay, so religion.
All right.
I grew up in a family. My dad was a deacon in the church. I grew up in church. I grew up in church in San Diego before I moved to Bakersfield. I grew up in the church, but as an older adult, I just don't know. Because my prayers have never been answered. When I pray for things, they've never been answered. And if there was someone out there that could answer my prayer, I mean, maybe I don't deserve for my prayers to be answered. I mean, I've been baptized. I was baptized. My dad was in the church. I grew up in the church. But as I get older, I just don't know until I see it. I want to see it. I mean, but then a lot of times I believe that, like, when people think about religion and gods in the past, and I'm going to say this, they were aliens. It was aliens. I'm sorry. It was aliens. In my opinion, it was aliens. It was aliens. I mean, if you look at the Egyptian gods, like King Tut, his head was like crazy. The pictures, they worshipped different things. I just don't know. I can't say there's a God. I think, I mean, if you look at the different religions, they all had different ideas, but they all were the same. And when I say this, I go back to like the pyramids, like in Mexico, the pyramids in Egypt, they were built the same. How, I just don't know. I can't answer that. That's a hard question for me when it comes to religion and God. I want to believe, but I want to see it.
I want to see proof.
I want to see those miracles.
Right. So I was so my parents were ministers, and at the age of like 19, I came to the conclusion that like there wasn't a God. And then I spent many years like looking into those other religions. So I got like all the world religions like tattooed on me. And part of the reason why is because I was fascinated by why are so many people telling stories about things, you call them aliens. Technically Jesus was an alien because he's not Earth, but people are coming from this planet, whether they're jackals or ravens or like the different gods. They all have these stories. Like either all of these things have happened somewhere somehow, or there's just been a few of them, and people have like just misinterpreted their stories, told their stories or something. Because I'm like, what are the odds that everywhere around the world they're all sitting around telling the same kind of story? I mean, it just seemed really, really bizarre. And that's the reason why I was so fascinated, why I got them so many tattooed on me. I'm like, there has to be some kind of hint of truth behind this, because why are so many people putting so many resources and creating such elaborate stories? That to me, like, really got me thinking. What do you think about
But
that?
you don't hear about, like, you never hear
What?
about Africans talking about their religion. For like Africa, it was all
Hmm.
brought about by Christianity. You never hear about what did the ancient Africans believe in. But okay, but Egypt is in Africa, of course.
Right,
You
right,
know,
yeah.
so I just, like I said, it's a broad topic. I just have I don't have any answers for that. I
Right,
can't
right.
make a decision on that because I just don't know. It's so broad. I have so many questions about religion,
That's good.
and I have so many questions.
Hmm.
I question it. I question it every day. Even though there's days I'll
Yeah.
pray to God, I will pray. I will pray, but I just don't know. I
Hmm.
just want. There's
Yeah.
no answer to
That's
that. There's no answer to that.
okay.
It's only it's what you believe and what you feel.
Oh, and here's a side question. You do karate as well?
Kung fu.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kung fu. You do kung fu. You're a green belt. The green
green
belt.
belt in kung fu. So the difference between kung fu and karate, I mean, karate started from kung fu, but my kung fu it's self defense. It's self defense. It's battlefield kung fu. It's nothing mystical about it. We don't pray to like some mystical kung fu god. It's about if someone attacks you, you got to defend yourself in a dark alley. I'm going to make it home. I'm going to make it home. There's no mysticism. My kung fu is there's no mysticism. It's all about combat. It's combat. It's battlefield combat. And I haven't. My teachers in kung fu
Uh,
are all in Bakersfield. They're all in Bakersfield, so I haven't practiced since I've been in Texas. All my teachers are in Bakersfield in California. But I've learned enough that I can defend myself and my family.
but you're also into guns as well, right? What kind of do you have, like a handgun or anything you carry on?
Yes, I carry it when I want to
Got to
carry
get
it,
you.
but I yes, I have handguns, I have rifles, I have shotguns.
I get you. Get rid of a Tech Nine, man. If I'm gonna walk around with some, I'm walking around with a Tech Nine, man. That'd be nice.
Hey,
You
no,
ever got it like
Tech nines are trash. Tech nines are trash. Though they will.
they're trash?
That's spray and pay. That's like you
Yeah,
don't know who you're gonna shoot.
spray bit.
Spray. You're not gonna hit anyone with a tech nine. That's
That's the point.
they're
That's
trash.
yeah, the point because if you have a gun, there's no, the recoil. Whereas Tech Nine, man, I'll just pray to Jesus and I hit somebody. But anyway, I
Right,
live in
and that's
South
the thing.
Korea. We're gonna have to talk about guns, so I don't want to go too much
Right,
up on
right.
this.
We're gonna have that conversation
I live
later.
in South Korea, where there's actually a lot of guns here. People don't know that, but the guns, they're all in the guys' computers when they sit around shooting each other all day behind their computer screen. Uh, no. But listen to this. This
No, I know what you're saying.
is
I
not an
get it.
exaggeration. Because actually, right after I finish this, I'm going to take my wife to the PC room. It's like the cheapest date imaginable. So I could take her out to the PC room. She plays her games, and I like to me. Everyone's just sitting around shooting each other, but I could leave my front door, and within about 5 minutes, I'll run into at least 4 or 5 different PC rooms. They're obsessed with PCs and shooting people like you would not imagine. And sometimes like, oh, it's violent games who are leading people in mass shootings. And I'm like, man, if that were the case, South Korea would be South Central, man. People were getting their asses shot on every last corner here, but you never see that. Partially one is because we don't even have guns in the first place. So, but we can have that whole talk when we do.
Can I tell you?
Do you want to get on to the next question? What?
One second. Well, gaming. I'm a PC gamer myself. I've been gaming on PC forever. Good. I played Ghost Recon, Breakpoint, but my I had an Alienware Alpha console. It's somewhere around here because I just moved, but I messed up. I took it apart because it messed up. I had to change the battery out of it, and I can't get the hard drive reconnected. And I haven't played in like 6 months, but I still have it. I'm trying to get it reconnected. But I'm a PC gamer as well, so I get it.
Okay. All right. So can you tell me, is there anything that you miss about the West Coast apart from the weather, beaches? So I know you guys have beaches down there.
I miss the beaches because I'm kind of landlocked in Northeast Texas. Even though I'm surrounded by lakes. Yeah. I'm surrounded by lakes, like huge lakes that have beaches. But I miss nice. Pismo. I miss Pismo. I miss being 4 hours away from Vegas. I miss Pismo. Mm-hmm. You know. Mm-hmm. I want to go. Yeah, you know what? That's what I miss about California.
Baker sucks. It's a horrible place to live. But the only good thing in it is that it is probably I would say the most convenient spot to be in California, because everything is within like a couple of hours
two
distance.
Hours,
you know what I mean? You get down to
2 hours from the beach.
It's a lot of spots.
2 hours from the desert.
And in 4 hours
from Vegas. 4 hours from Vegas.
And right? 4 hours from Vegas, 4 hours from Mexico, 4 hours from San Francisco. So it's like if you're in San Francisco is awesome, but you would be a lot of ways away from those other places. You know, San Diego, awesome place, but you would be a long ways away from the other places. Bakersfield sucks. And listen to this. I got to tell you something funny, because I'm a part of this international travelers like association. So whenever people like travel to different countries, you can message people and, sleep at their house. Amazing thing, get to eat, share meals and stuff, totally free. And so whenever I was in Bakersfield, I hosted like 200 people here in South Korea. But whenever I was in Bakersfield, nobody wanted to see Bakersfield. Everybody just started up in San Francisco, and they're like, yeah, we're going to Vegas. We want to sleep in Bakersfield. That's like halfway there. And that's what was like 90% of the people were like making the trip from Vegas to San Francisco. So. Okay, there's that. What about like people or culture, anything like that you miss?
I don't, because like I said earlier, moving to Texas, if you walk down the street or at a grocery store, the cultural differences, I only say the cultural differences, it's just the people differences, no matter who you are. If I'm at Walmart and walking down the street in Texas, you make eye contact with someone, they're like, how you doing? So nod, smile. California, you get me mugged. They'll me mug you. That's the thing about the difference between Texas and California. Other than Northern California, like San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, well, maybe not Oakland, but Berkeley, San Francisco, they'll say hi to you. But growing up, I'm at Walmart yesterday, and this guy, I'm walking with the pushing the cart. How you doing? If I'm looking for something on the shelf, they say, "Excuse me." People are just polite here. It's so they're polite here. It's so that is a thing that makes me never want to move back to California again, because of how polite people are here.
It's kind of ironic, too, that people in California would think that people from Texas are racist, because there's a lot of kind of racism that's directed at like white people. It seems like racism specifically directed at Caucasian people has become like perfectly acceptable in America. And even if you think about something like this, a lot of people can tell a lot of jokes about white people, and people are perfectly okay with it, you know. But if you
I
ever
don't
tell
like.
like a black joke,
I don't like it. I don't like it
you don't
either.
like blonde jokes. You don't like blonde jokes.
I mean, okay, the blonde jokes. I mean, they
Well,
said, what was that one? The blonde, she got some orange concentrate.
oh, she
You know
knows.
the,
She got.
you
She
know the
was.
joke.
She was staring at the. She was staring at the juice, the orange juice,
Right,
and she said, "Why
right,
are you staring at it?" He says, "Well, it says to concentrate."
right, right.
but but anyway, I wanted to make this point in a sermon one day, so I started telling a bunch of blonde jokes, right? And everyone is laughing their asses off at these blonde jokes. And then I started telling a few Mexican jokes, and this is mostly Mexican people. And you could kind of hear they're like, oh, okay, that's not very funny. That's not very good. But then I started telling some black jokes, man, and freaking people started walking out of the sermon. And I'm like, look, you guys here, all right, you guys are here. You're judging me for telling these jokes. Nobody had an issue whenever I was making fun of white people. And so I was like, this is wrong, you know. Why is it that you take this special offense whenever I start talking about your race or specifically black people? Like, you know, there's a difference between somebody saying a word or like saying that person said a word. Okay. Like, let's say, Dan, I don't like you. So say, hey, Dan, I think you're a X, Y, and Z. And you know what word I'm using here, but I think you're that. Okay. And everyone knows that's wrong. But then I said, hey, my friend over here is a really bad person. He called Dan an X, Y, and Z word. There's a difference between me using it to you and me saying that this guy is saying that word, you know? Whereas, so you can't even, I can't even say that he said it. Otherwise, I'm racist. But I can also call a white person a cracker, and it's not a problem at all, you know? I could make a joke calling using that word to go after a white person, and it's not considered racist. So there's like a total double standard as far as that goes. You know what I mean? So it's like, look, I'm getting ready to release my third book right now on racism, and I'm donating all the profits to an organization that helps people escape from like Nazi and KKK organizations. One of these guys actually, are you familiar with Daryl Davis?
No,
You ever heard that name?
no.
Big fat black dude who sat down and deconverted to lots of
Oh yes,
KK.
okay, yes,
Okay.
okay, yes, okay. I know, yes, I know his name, but I know you're talking about now. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Plays piano. So that guy helped deconvert like 300 KKK guys, whatever,
right.
Nazis. And one of those guys he deconverted actually now is like a peace advocate. And so I've done a lot of work helping him out. His name is Jeff Scoop with his organization. And so I'm donating this book over to them. But I talk a lot about that, about like the double standards that people have. And, you know, that like, look, what I say in there is like my favorite comedians are people like Carlos Mencia, you know what I mean? George Lopez, Dave Chappelle, Black, what's his name? Chris Rock. I mean, these guys say some really, really racist stuff, but like we could take a step back and be like, hey, come on. Now, if you're talking about Mexican people and you talk about us like our mothers hitting us with chanclas, which is like Mexican sandal, I'm like, these kind of stuff makes sense to us. Like we find these funny because these are genuinely things that, you know, that we do. We have like
I got beat by my mom's shoe too, so don't come on.
Okay, you feel it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
But people,
I feel you.
But it's like okay, all right. Do Mexican people like beans and rice and junk? Yeah, of course, man. Of course, we're Mexicans. We eat that. I mean, if I start talking about Asian people, do they eat rice? They don't eat rice every day. They eat rice 3 times a day. Every single meal we have rice here. It's like the staple. It's like the base of whatever you eat. So it's not like racist to say that. You know what I mean? It's not racist. They say that they have smaller eyes. I mean, that's just a fact. My daughter has a mix between like, you know, my eyes and my wife's eyes. And they're like, her eyes are actually bigger than mine because somehow, whenever you mix those two, it creates like a completely different shape in the eyes. And so it's beautiful. My wife has beautiful eyes, different than mine. There's nothing wrong about them. I love Asian eyes. I absolutely love them. They're like my favorite things about Asian people. But it's not racist to point it out. It's just a fact.
You're right. It's a fact. And that's the thing, though.
I see smirking.
We can point out the facts about us, and it's not bad. It's like, I'm gonna say this: I like chicken. I like watermelon.
Yeah, come on.
I will eat chicken and watermelon on camera right now. I got half a watermelon in the fridge right now. You want me to get the watermelon from the fridge? I'm telling you, my wife, I got half watermelon in the fridge right now that we cut up.
Oh God, hold on, you're killing me over here. Oh.
Don't make me.
Oh God,
I'm sorry, we had pork chops for dinner, but I got watermelon in the fridge right now.
Don't tell me you have some grape Kool-Aid too, man. That's like that'd be the trifecta.
It's crystal light. It's crystal light, but it's great. It's great.
Grape crystal. Oh,
it's still great. It's not Kool-Aid because I can't drink all that sugar. I can't pour the sugar like I used to. I'm too old. I don't want to be diabetic. But I got watermelon and some crystal light in the fridge right now.
But did you ever see Chris Rock whenever he was talking about? He called it grape drink.
Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is. I say crystal light, but it's grape drink. It's not crystal light. It's a generic grape value from Walmart, but it's still grape drink in the jug that the fruit punch came out of. So,
and did you ever hear when he was talking about Robitussin too? Like that's another thing too. Is like actually I think Mexicans and blacks like we can relate on a lot of different issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like because I'll tell you one thing that's really interesting for me being here in South Korea is that like people can't distinguish that I'm Mexican. I'm just like white here. You know what I mean? Like there's that concept is like, they don't even know what it means. Whereas like in America, I could be in a place, I could get some looks from some people. Like I remember one time I was at Starbucks and I was sitting next to this white lady and she was on her computer. She had to go to the bathroom. She straight took that thing to the bathroom. And I was like, man, I could have watched that computer for you. Like I was on my computer too. And
you got a sport coat on, just like you do now, probably at Starbucks. Let me tell you a story. So the reason I got into Kung Fu was my friend Yi. He is half Chinese Korean? and half Korean. Yes, thank you. There's Yi Trong.
He's Korean. He's Korean.
Yeah. Yi Trong. And his wife is Caucasian. He passed away in 2013 from cancer. Rest in peace, my guy.
Oh wow!
And his wife is Caucasian. They went to Alabama. They thought he was Mexican. He's Korean.
That's fun.
He's half Korean and half Vietnamese. They thought he was Mexican. They didn't know. I was like, well, that's what he told me.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I will tell you something. This is really important because this actually comes out very strongly in my book about racism, and I will send you over a free copy for participating in this. You did get your Starbucks card?
Yeah.
So we always like to spend you got it. Guys, put a little bit extra for your wives too. So I hope you take her out too. But the point is that like my best friend is from Oklahoma. Like his family's from Oklahoma. So 6'6" white dude chilling with a 5'5" Mexican dude, and we're like best friends in the world. Like race was the last thing in the world that we thought about. You know what I mean? Like he would straight up come to my house. This is probably going to sound so fake that I tell you this, but he would straight come up and tell racist jokes like right in front of my dad and mom, and they would just be laughing their butts off, man. And it's like we would make fun of each other's race. Like it just was such not an issue for us. Like my other best friend was a black guy, and so we call ourselves the Rainbow Gang because it's Mexican, black, and white. And like, dude, I cannot tell you how hard we would trash each other's races, and like it was just not an issue for us. And you know what I mean? It's like, okay, my dude was fat dude. Like, all right, we'd make fun of him for being fat. It's like that's just something else that guys are gonna make fun of you over. You know what I mean? Like guys make fun of each other. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you ever worked construction, man. I mean, we just roast each other all day on the construction field. I mean, that's just what we do. You know what I mean? We're good at it. Guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
So yeah, we just need to stop taking things so seriously. But
I
I do have
agree.
any. I do have a last question I want to ask you. But what would you change about the Midwest? I guess you call it South. I don't really think that's the South. I don't think people in
No,
the South would consider that the South.
no, Texas is in the South. So if you're past a certain point of some river, I forget the river.
Okay.
Texas is a southern state. What I would change about the South, actually, what I would change about Texas,
Hmm.
people in Texas, they're always in a hurry. They drive, like if you're on the freeway, they drive so damn fast. I mean, the speed limit is 75. They're going 90. I saw this sign one day. It said,
You
slow.
talking
It
about on
said,
the horses? On the they ride the
right,
horses
on
that
the
fast?
horses,
No.
right? Down the Old Town Road. Down the Old Town Road, right?
I'm sorry. What did the sign say? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It said, slow down, you're already in Texas. For real. It was a sign where normally you would see the Amber Alert, like Amber Alert, we're looking for this.
Oh
But
man.
there was no Amber Alert that day. It said, slow down, you're already in Texas.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, and my wife, she does not want it. She hates driving here because I mean, when we first met, we would drive to LA. She would drive, but it's different driving in LA because it's like, it's, you know, slow. You'll get fast and slow. Here, it's like, people are, I mean, I'm going 75. People are flying past me. So that's what I would change. But like I said, my part of Texas, Northeast Texas, is so diverse. It's a diverse community. Like I said, we got before I moved, we had Africans, Indians, uh, Pakistani people. Everyone is
Really?
it's so diverse. Northeast Texas is so diverse. It's not Texas. It's Texas, but it's not the Texas that people think it is. That's why I love
Hey,
it in this part.
so I got to tell you this. You might be able to leave and go back to California sometime, but as soon as you start liking country music, you're going to be stuck in Texas forever, dude. So,
I like
do you like
country
country
music.
yet?
I like country music
Oh,
before I moved to Texas.
okay. Then
I,
you're yeah. You ain't moving nowhere. Then you're
mm-mm.
stuck down there.
Hey, my when I mean, I wore cowboy boots when I was in Bakersfield when I was a kid. When I was
Oh,
in
really?
sixth grade, I had cowboy boots on. I didn't have any until I moved back here, and it's too hot right now. So right now I
Right.
got my little, I got the Hawaiian shirt on, but
Yeah, yeah.
I got my shorts on from Sportswear Mart in Bakersfield, my basketball shorts on. But yeah,
Did you know that? Did you know that Buck Owens was from Texas? By the way,
he's from Sherman.
Sherman.
He grew up in Sherman, Texas. Yes. Let me tell you a story about Buck Owens. So my best
Good.
friend, one of my best friends, who passed away, his dad. Well, my friend, his name is my friend is named Brian Shaw. His dad is Jim Shaw. He's one of the Buckaroos.
No way! I just interviewed him. I just interviewed
You
that dude. No way.
you interviewed Jim Shaw
Yeah, yeah,
for real?
yeah.
That Jim Shaw,
For the book. For the book.
his son Brian was one of my best friends.
No way.
He's the one that grew up who went to school in Austin. I was telling you about earlier. Yes, he's
Oh,
one of my
really?
best friends. Yes, and Jim Shaw, he co-wrote Rodeo, the Buck Owens song Rodeo, with Jim Reynolds. And we were when I was in high school, before Garth Brooks went
Yeah,
big.
he's talking about God's books. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, before Garth Brooks went big, we went to his house, and Garth was there.
No,
And no,
no,
for real. And Jim was like, "Hey,"
no,
he's like, "Hey guys, this is Garth." I'm just like, "Hey,
no,
yes," and yes, and and
no.
Brian passed away in 2009, and yes, but yes, Jim. I'm sorry. Yes, but Jim Shaw was one of my best friends. His dad, and Jim Shaw was on
No
Hee
way.
Haw. He was on Hee Haw for 20 years.
That's
And
so
he played
funny though. That you would just be like, oh yeah, this is Garth. You're like, oh yeah, this is like my buddy Garth. And at that point, you don't know who he actually is. That's so
right.
funny because so he told me a couple of things. He told me one that he helped Garth perform some or record some songs in LA. And then the other thing that he told me was that Garth Brooks attributes a lot of his success to Buck Owens, and actually
Yes.
he proposed to Trisha Yearwood at the Crystal Palace, which is which is
Yeah.
which is Buck Owens.
I know.
His like
I know the Crystal Palace.
I know you know it, but for other people who might not know, this is like his little museum slash restaurant slash concert hall. But he proposed there, and what he told me was that that Garth he taught Garth some business savvy tips growing up to help him like gain control over his how do you call it, the masters of his records and stuff. So he says that he played a really big role in Garth's life. And then the other thing too was that he told me that Buck Owens related a lot with Mexicans growing up because he had to work out in the, you know what I mean, the fields.
Yes.
And that's the thing too. Like your average white person wouldn't understand that, but people coming over from the Midwest in the Dust Bowl, they had a really rough life here, and they were like considered like, you know, the wetbacks, for lack of a better word, of the white people. And they were put into internment camps. And the Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck, it's on this book. And it's,
they were in Bakersfield. They were in that area. And also, I'm not sure you know Jack Kerouac, the author Jack Kerouac, On the Road. No. Anyways, but we'll another story. But going back to Buck Owens. So Buck Owens gave Jim Shaw a 1938 Packard, a car, had a rumble seat, and he gave it to Jim. And Brian, who was Jim Shaw's son, got to drive around that car. It had a rumble seat, so it was a big long car, but in the back where the trunk would be, it would flip up, right? You had seats back there. It was convertible, and we used to ride around in that. I rode in the Packard that Buck gave to Jim that gave to Jim Shaw, and Jim fixed it up. But before Buck died, after Jim fixed it up, Buck wanted it back, and we meet and like Brian, my friend Brian, who was Brian Shaw, Jim Shaw's son. He had one of Buck's guitars. We would go out and like hang out like in the middle of nowhere. Brian, he was a musician like his dad. He played piano and keyboard, but he could also play guitar. We would go out and just hang out, and he would play guitar. We would sing, have a few natural lights back in the 90s and stuff. But yes, that's so awesome that you got to meet. We can just do a whole talk about just that at some point.
Yeah, actually, just so you know, the reason why I was interviewing him specifically was because for this race book, and I told him this isn't specifically about music, though music winds up playing a role in it because of the fact that music is like expressions of ourselves and our souls, you know, and with country, because the book actually deals a lot with country music, ironically, but it talks about like country is the only genre that can tell entire stories, and they write sometimes like about loss, and people think they talk about it too much, like talking about whiskey and you know what I mean, losing relationships and some very dark stuff to deal with in a music form, you know, and they do a very good job of it. I mean, I grew up listening to country from my mom, so I was very familiar with it. So it's a bit weird because like I'm this Mexican dude listening to country music and stuff, you know what I mean? At a time like 30 years ago where like whites listened to rock and country and Mexicans listened to like, you know, hip hop and R&Bs and oldies. So things have changed quite a bit. Things are getting more into like a melting pot legitimately, you know what I mean? Because it used to be the case white people wouldn't rap and they wouldn't listen to rap, and now like that's, you know, white people love listening to rap music, or lots of Mexicans and blacks listen to like alternative music, and so it's I talk about this just about mixing genres and mixing things, and like, hey man, like in LA, they took something crazy because they have the biggest Koreatown in America. In America, the biggest community is in LA, and so they take tacos and they mix it in with their Korean meat, and
Right.
it's Korean fusion. And I talk about at my wedding, that's what we had. We had the Korean and the beans and rice and everything was just mixed into one. And I'm like, essentially, my daughter is fusion. I'm like, she's Mexican and Korean mixed into one. You know what I mean? So there's a lot in there. I am really believing that this book is going to change a lot of lives. Because I talk about just the race issue as openly and honestly as possible. And actually, you know what I talk about? I talk about like two-stepping in there. And sometimes we're just going around and we're dancing around some issues that we're not really addressing some underlying stuff. You know, where there's elephants. I said, there's 2,000-pound elephant in every room, in every kitchen, in every church, in every government building, and no one's willing to talk about these things. And I'm like, we really just need to start having the conversations and being more open and honest. And you know what I mean? Like, not saying, hey, you know, we can talk about facts here. We can talk about realities about the past and how the past is still affecting the future. It is positively still affecting the future. And so if we're going to change, it's still affecting the present. I mean, if we're going to change the future, we need to be open and honest and address some of these issues that we haven't want to address, you know?
Yep. And what my thing is, when it comes to like the melting pot, I don't believe in the melting pot. It's a tossed salad. Think about it. It's a tossed salad, not a melting pot. Because when a melting pot means it's just blending into one, but a tossed salad means we're all together, in my opinion, right? That's how I feel about that. But what was the other thing I was going to say? I forgot. But we'll talk about it again. We use it so much. It's been good. It's been good.
This would be the last thing I say. But one of the last, I believe it's the last chapter. I say, I said, like, what's better, the melting pot or the toss? As you said, toss salad. Usually, toss salad refers to something else, but they usually just call it a salad. So I said, if you're calling a melting pot, whatever it is that you think that is, I said that's like a soup. Okay, that's like a soup where you just mix in a bunch of ingredients and it all just melts into one. Okay, and then I say, or you can have a salad. And I said, but the reality is that nobody is satisfied with a soup and just a salad. That's like an appetizer to the main course that we could be having, right? Like we shouldn't think in either of these extremes in either of these terms. Like we have them both, and yet we can have something, an entree, and which is in that bit where we are mixing things, we are celebrating everybody, we are. As an American, as a Mexican, I've participated in the Korean culture. You know, I got married in Korean guard. You know what I mean? In their whole traditional Korean. You know, we went through the whole nine to do that, and so that's what I'm about. I'm like, we should be experiencing everybody's culture, mixing new things. You know what I mean? I would have never thought to put Korean barbecue meat onto like a taco, but that's brilliant. You know. Mixing different foods, mixing different music genres. I mean, you know, there's country and rap now. They've mixed that genre.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, Nally made a song like with Tim McGraw and stuff. It's like, that's beautiful. I love that where we can mix stuff. We can make fun of each other. We can have a good laugh and not think, oh my God, you said this person ate this food. Like, oh, you're racist. No, those people eat food because they're hungry and that food tastes good. Like you come here to South Korea, within 3 minutes of my house, you'll run into 3 different chicken shops. Like they love to eat fried chicken too. Like that ain't unique to any people. You know what I mean? They love fried chicken as much as anyone else. So anyway,
the human experience is everyone's experience. It's what everyone does. We think some people think our differences separate us, but they're all the same. We're having the same experiences. It's life experiences. People just see it from a different perspective, but it's all the freaking same. Yeah, it's all the same. But thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to our next conversation about Second
Guns.
Amendment and guns.
I'm
But
gonna grill you on it
please
because
do.
I live in South Korea where nobody has no guns and nobody gets shot. So, but the thing is, we can do so respectfully. You know what I mean? This podcast
Yeah,
exists. Look at the RHE. There are
yeah.
two R's reversed on each top of each other to see the other person's perspective. It's purple. We use purple because it's mixing the red and the blue and getting something totally different. Which I was talking a bit about the fusion. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's mix some stuff up and let's see things from different perspectives. So I do want to close out with this outro. Check us up at www.rhepodcast.com. You can check us out at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just about everywhere you can find someone, you can find us. So here we go. And we're having conversations like this, open, honestly, and we also want to have a laugh on here. We don't like to have these conversations and take things too seriously. They are serious, but not too seriously. So I do want to leave you with this outro, and thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you back again. If you stick around for a minute, Big Dan.
Yeah.